Cinema Vino is brought to you by Audible.
Yeah, they didn't ask me to read the first ad because apparently I'm extremely inappropriate. Well, I think Sean and Todd are a couple idiots.
Well, thank you, Travis.
I'm the perfect guy to read this copy because I love Audible. I listened to all of the Lord of the Rings books, and I'm currently listening to Once and Future King. I love it.
And you didn't use any profanity there. I'm very proud of you.
Go blink yourself, Todd. With Audible, you get that plus thousands of audiobooks and podcasts across a ton of genres.
With an Audible membership, you gain access to all the titles you want, plus keep one title per month for yourself. Download the Audible app and you can listen at home, driving in the car, or just about anywhere.
Todd, you're horrible at this. Let me take it from here. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to enjoy all the perks of membership, plus receive a free title just for signing up. Visit www.audibletrial.com/cinemavino to start today. That's www.audibletrial.com/cinemavino.
And welcome back.
Oh,
So,
hi.
you know, I'm here with Travis Budd.
Hey.
It's just the two of us.
Oh, and not joining us is Sean Jordan.
Mm-hmm. And Taylor Owens.
Dead air.
Yeah, we're missing George and Ringo. It's a shame. Mm-hmm. And I'll let them duke it out as to who gets to be Ringo in that scenario. But this is the OG. When we first started this podcast a few years ago, it was just the two of us. And we can make it if we try.
Yeah, it's better with four. But you know what? I like our time together.
Yes, I know. We don't go dancing anymore like we used to. We don't go out.
Well, Sean and Taylor don't like to hold hands.
I know. It's a goddamn travesty.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about War of the Worlds.
2005.
2005 version. And this was my pick. And I know it's not a traditional like Halloween movie that what you picture, but it was definitely something I wanted to go back and watch for a while. I'm a huge Spielberg fan. I'm especially interested to go back and look at the lesser stuff, like the stuff that doesn't get the recognition.
I think it does work for Halloween because this is the radio broadcast version in the 50s.
Oh, Orson Welles was 39.
39? Okay.
Yeah, it was before Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm. They had a severely truncated story, but they read it online on the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
As if it was the news happening right there. And so I don't know how much of an urban legend it is that people started listening. They're like, oh my God,
you freaked out.
Happening for real.
Start grabbing shotguns and pitchforks. Yeah. But supposedly there was some of that. There was some legit panic when people turned on the radios. And
that seems far-fetched, but people are dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, people today, super dumb.
Oh,
with
yeah.
The internet.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Back then with just the radio, I bet you're still dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, we have officially kind of backslid. We're about one like Reddit thread away from like burning witches again.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've fallen that far down the stupid hole.
Honestly, at this point, fuck it. Burn me first. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
So, and then, we are drinking some wine. Honestly, I don't remember what wine we opened. I'll report back on that shortly.
BRB.
Yeah.
Talk without me.
Travis is going to grab the wine. So War of the Worlds is something that I wanted to watch. I think I shoehorned it in a little bit. It's not the traditional like spooky fright night. What I picture for Halloween, the Growers Guild. Yes, thank you, Trav. The Growers Guild Pinot Noir. This was a gift from a friend, so it just seemed like a good thing to open. It's like the best wine is free wine,
and we're back.
It's the best wine is wine that was given to you. So Growers Guild is a nice little Pinot. It's fun, easy drinking Oregon wine.
Gilmore Girls?
Yeah, it's
Growers.
It's the Gilmore Girls Pinot. Yeah, this is the Team Jess Merlot.
I drink this out of like one of their oversized coffee cups.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Stack of Luke's pancakes.
That just sounds gross. So yeah, I mean, I want to go back and look at like Spielberg's like lesser stuff. I mean, that's why we did Always like a year or two ago. The stuff that doesn't necessarily get the attention now that like Jaws and
with Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. And Indiana Jones and stuff like that. That Spielberg's E.T. They get all the glory, and it's like sometimes it's good to go back and like check out the other stuff. So this is one that for various reasons didn't get a whole lot of attention it was a big financial success, but not necessarily like the commercial, like artistic success that Spielberg was used to. So yeah, here's my notes. This was released June 29th, 2005. This is the biggest movie production we have screened for this podcast thus far, in terms of finances.
Really?
And yeah, in terms of scope. Movie was such a big production. It took two studios, Paramount and DreamWorks, to make it. So, which is not unheard of. I think Paramount and 20th Century Fox did Titanic, but that's how that's how big this one is. This was on paper going into it at probably as much of a sure ticket for the studios as you could get. With Spielberg directing, Tom Cruise starring, doing War of the World, that's as big as it gets. But Tom Cruise's reputation at this point was beginning to take a little bit of a hit because of this was his Katie Holmes, couch jumping, Oprah Winfrey, nutball. Yeah, this was the beginning of the meltdown. And really the first cracks in his career, like in terms of his reputation.
You know, he really just needed to go clear.
Yes.
Just grab onto his bicycle handles or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. And just ride the Xenu train on out. But yeah, his career has been beginning to take a hit, and he's had some successful movies since then, but it's never completely recovered since then. That will probably be a footnote in any obituary that's ever written about him, is that he had this meltdown during this time period. That probably one of the more notorious like public breakdowns this side of Kanye West that we've seen in a famous person.
I mean, he's since, I would say, come back around, because Top Gun, Maverick, I couldn't remember that, is a absolute triumph. It's as good, I don't want to say better than the original, but it is a worthy sequel.
I think it's better.
Well, fuck you.
But yeah, this was kind of his peak, his high watermark as a superstar, where it's like, he's coming off of Minority Report and Jerry Maguire, and I mean, what else you got? You got Magnolia. I mean, tons of stuff coming out like around that time period. Mission Impossible 2. He was just a big name. This particular movie is an adaptation of H.G. Wells' 19th century sci-fi classic, very influential sci-fi book. It's informed so many movies and sci-fi stories since then. Cruise plays Ray Ferrier, an ordinary blue-collar dude working on the Newark loading docks. He's a divorcee. He gets his two kids for the weekend, teenage son, 10-year-old daughter, played by Justin Chatwin and Dakota Fanning, respectively. Just as their awkward weekend visit kicks off, alien tripods spring up from the ground and begin wreaking havoc in the greater New York City area. Now, Ray and his kids have to run for their lives and stay one step ahead of the invading alien hordes. And that's pretty much all the story you need. There's a weird Tim Robbins cameo in there, but really that's, everything you need. So, Trav, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this.
I was looking forward to this when it came out. I mean, again, at the time it had, Tom Cruise in it, and I really wasn't looking forward to that. I had Tom Cruise fatigue.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I wasn't really that enthused. I was definitely hoping for more because I liked the original movie. And the tripods looked cool. Like, all of that was neat. The special effects were not great in this. Especially, buildings falling or coming out of the smoke or something. I was like, this does not look very good in parts. Especially for the amount of cash they shelled out for it.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
And they had Morgan Freeman as the narrator at the beginning and at the end. I mean, you can't get a better narrator, but he seemed oddly placed. Like, if he would have been a character at all in the film, would have helped immensely.
Yeah.
This one didn't fire on all cylinders for me. I did like it watching it the second time around. I just watched it again today. But all I could really remember was, people turning into clothes, and then everybody talking about like him having to kill Tim Robbins in front of his daughter or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's never as bad as I remembered it, because I thought he had the first fight with Tim Robbins. I thought they were going to have like the super silent fight, kind of like in Saving Private Ryan, where the the guy walks in on the Nazi and they have the weird silent knife fight where it's all, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Both my favorite and least favorite part of Saving Private Ryan. But yeah, that's it. Also, Tom Cruise's kid in this, really, his son wanting to go into the fight and run away and stuff. None of that made sense to me. He's like, I gotta go. I'm so mad. I feel like, I think as soon as they have the attack, his daughter's like, oh my God, is it the terrorists? You know, obviously it's shortly after, you know, within 4 or 5 years of the World Trade Center coming down. So I think his son was supposed to have that gut reaction feeling like, oh, we got to make them pay.
I want to fight.
We got to get out there. We're like, really? I mean, it's one thing to go sign up for the army and get trained and go over and fight other human beings, but like, the fuck are you going to do against a tripod?
With a shield around.
Yeah. What are you going to do against a death ray?
Yeah.
Are you seeing like all these super ineffectual? Anyway,
Little Brat didn't even have a decent curveball.
yeah. Good call. But yeah, the other thing is I did like the weird terraforming that they were doing, the aliens.
Yeah.
Like that was my favorite character in this, were the aliens,
Yeah.
the tripods, because they look cool. Also, it coming out of the earth was super neat. But
Different touch.
I know in the original book, they just the aliens had a death ray, and then they essentially had like pesticide that they would just like the tripods would just fart out the smoke and poisonous gas and just kill whatever they couldn't shoot with their rays.
Yeah.
I needed some more poisonous gas in this.
Yeah. You need some more fart smoke. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
So 1 to 10, what would you give it?
You know, I did enjoy it. I'm gonna give it 6.
So for me, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the 9/11 thing, because watching it now with a few years, and I say this in my review too, at toddwoffordmovies.com, that, the 9/11 parallels are strong throughout the movie of, you know, the people covered in ash wandering around the streets, you know, bloody, you know, the names.
I didn't think of that.
Names on the bulletin boards, you know, have you seen this person? You know, it's like, if there's even a weird, to me, like Schindler's List parallel with like the ashes and like the, you know, the clothes and stuff. I mean, it was like, you see those Holocaust pictures of like the shoes, you know, that people wore. It's like there's a very grim undertone to this. And it to me, it's interesting from the perspective of the guy that made Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T., where it's like benevolent, like, you know, we come in peace, you don't have to be afraid. You know, this post 9/11 movie is like, you have every reason to be afraid. Like, you can run, you know, totally different, totally like paranoid, adrenaline. I mean, it's a completely different movie from, you know, a very different director. You know, it's like, you know, people always talk about how 9/11 changed them, and it's like you can artistically see what it did to Spielberg at that point. You know, this is an angry, edgy, you know, very, you know, violent, propulsive movie. It's very different. It's the opposite of Close Encounters. But it's interesting because Spielberg always said that he regretted with Close Encounters, like having Richard Dreyfuss abandon his family at the end of it to go on the mothership. And, you know, once he had kids, he couldn't picture that anymore, like leaving your kids behind. And so now, you know, you see Tom Cruise's character, he has to, you know, like, it's him having to rescue his kids, basically.
Yeah, and he's got to choose between the two of them.
Yeah. So it's more family oriented in that way. But, you know, like Richard Dreyfuss's character in that movie, he is not the best dad in the world. But basically, it's him learning how to be a better father. So it's the flip side of Close Encounters in that way. It's interesting for that reason, just for the subtext of it, you know. And he does the same thing he does in all of his other alien movies, where it's like you see it from the perspective of not like the president and not like the famous, like the, you know, the powerful people. You see it from like regular families, you know. Both of those movies are just blue collar people experiencing alien, you know, different kinds of alien invasions.
Right.
But there's a lot of great shots in this movie. I love the little flirt, like the Spielberg touches, where it's like the, you know, the guy with the camera gets vaporized, and then you see the rest of it through his viewfinder.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's cool shots, like or Tom Cruise and the kids are in the minivan, and it's one continuous take going in 360s around the van as it drives, and like the camera goes somehow, I mean, obviously CGI, it goes into the car and then around and then out the window and then around the van again, all in one continuous shot.
Oh man, I didn't notice that.
There's some cool moments like that where it's like that's a very cool, very Spielbergian like camera take. You know, it's like I love those little moments in his movies where it's like that's awesome. You know, it reminded me a lot of, and it actually came out before Children of Men, where they show that car chase in Children of Men as one continuous like, you know, people are trying to like assault. I think it's Clive Owen's car, and it's all one shot panning around the car.
Huh.
So
Yeah, that's on my list of ones that we need to rewatch because I really liked it when I watched it back in the day, but I've only seen it the one time.
yeah,
And I know it's got like a big cult following now too.
it's a great movie. But yeah, I mean, I love those moments in there. Tom Cruise is miscast as a blue collar deadbeat dad. That just doesn't fit him. I say that in the review. It's like he is a guy, a personality who knows one gear and it's all in.
Yeah.
It's difficult to imagine him disconnected and checked out. That just doesn't fit Tom Cruise. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, we're all in, you know, just climbing up the side of a skyscraper, just nuts, you know.
Well, and his wife, Miranda Otto, in this is just wasted.
She's-
she was just Eowyn in Lord of the Rings, and I think Spielberg was like, oh yeah, she's hot, and, you know, hip, and the kids know her these days. Let's get her. And like, oh. Again, she worked 2 days on this movie, maybe.
Yeah, got paid.
Yeah.
Good for her. You know, Tim Robbins' cameo was weird. It kind of stops the momentum of the movie.
Yeah, I was like, why is Tim Robbins in this guy's house?
In fact, this is supposed to be a movie that's basically like one continuous like chase scene, basically. One like, you know, long running action scene. You know, Tim Robbins is weird. Like in my review, it's like he dumps a bucket of weird all over the movie, and it kind of kills the momentum of it. So not great. Yeah, the motivations of the kid, like you say, the Robbie or whatever, it's like they don't make any sense. They feel written. It feels very much like a screenwriter at work trying to create some sort of conflict. It's very manufactured. Like the directing and a lot of the technical aspects of the film elevate it more than the writing. The writing is weak. It's underwritten. It's undercooked. But Spielberg's directing and the vibe he puts in the movie is great. I love John Williams' music in it. All the people who work behind the scenes for Spielberg stuff is really
John Williams did
yeah.
the soundtrack? See, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of more ambient, but then it's like he'll go for kind of this old school like Bernard Herrmann, like Alfred Hitchcock strings. So if you go back and listen to the soundtrack, it's a good soundtrack. It kind of gets lost in the noise, but it's a really nice one of his better soundtracks of that time period, I think.
I will say I like the sound effects for the aliens and all the weird craziness that they had. I didn't like the fact that they were like, oh yeah, they've buried these tripods. They're all around the earth, and nobody's ever dug deep down enough to ever find them. Or
Yeah.
I mean, in my own headcanon, they transported them there like Star Trek, like through the lightning. That
beamed
was
them
the
down.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it sitting there the whole time and like everybody, you know,
Yeah.
throughout civilization or however long they've been here. We're like, what? No, fuck off.
Thousands of years.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any
They've
sense.
just been waiting.
Yeah.
You're like just waiting for the old earth to ripen. We're like, haha, now it's ripe for the plucking. Also, we don't know anything about bacteria. We have this amount of foreknowledge, but we can't figure out like, oh shit, we should take a culture.
Yeah, it's like with Morgan Freeman's narration of like, you know, they waited and studied and took their time. And it's like,
That was pretty good.
thank you. But it's like, so they didn't figure out like strep throat in that time period.
Nope.
You know, it's like they learned about the planet and the culture and the air and everything else, but they didn't study like, you know, a cold.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They were like, we're going to make our ships look like three-legged squids. We're going to look at all their water life, but yeah, nothing else.
Yeah. Incidentally, the people that made Independence Day owe H.G. Wells' Fruit Basket for making that movie.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just a straight up rip off, the whole thing.
I did, yeah. So I love the tripod coming out of the ground and everybody backing up, but it's 100% human nature for the looky-loos who are like, wait, no, I want to see it, and then I want to run. I want to see at least what's coming out of the ground, so I can say I was there, so I can take a selfie, do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they come out of the ground, you're like, oh, it's going to be this big. Oh wait, that's just its foot. Oh shit.
Yeah.
The whole thing comes out. It's very kaiju-esque.
Yes.
And I got some more kaiju. Like when you see them on the landscape, you're like, man, those things are fucking huge. There's a Godzilla, The Return from like 1985, also called Godzilla 1985. They realize Godzilla's like, what? He's following the birds. He's following the seagulls. Is he like part of his brain bird-like or something? So they're always like, it's the birds. So whenever Tom Cruise is like, look at the birds. The birds are attacking the tripod or landing on it. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
For me, that was a Godzilla callback.
Yeah, it was a kaiju moment.
Yep.
You know Spielberg was a fan of Godzilla and kaiju.
Who isn't?
But that's one other flaw that I haven't talked about is like how it breaks a basic rule of screenwriting that your protagonist should always drive the action and the ending moments of the movie. Tom Cruise is a passive participant in the action of like he has to point out to other people what to do.
Yeah.
That's a basic violation of like good storytelling. It's like your hero, especially if it's Tom Cruise, who's like, you know, the go-getter. You know, he should be the one like bringing down an alien ship, you know.
Well, he did put 2 grenades in the sphincter.
He did. He put two grenades up a butthole, which is something else. Mm-hmm. But you know, I mean, it's like the final resolution. It's like it leaves it up to other characters who are insignificant. You know, I mean, he should be the one that leads to, you know, does something more.
Yeah.
He's too passive. Mm-hmm. So especially for that actor. But yeah, I mean, it's like it ends on a lackluster note. It's a decent movie with some truly great individual moments here and there. I love the crashed airplane, that's a real like 747 or whatever that they like. Yeah. You know, it's not even a special effect. Like they built that crash scene from scratch. I mean, that's old school filmmaking. You know, it's like we just watched Lawrence of Arabia. My wife and I did, and you know, there's a scene where he blows up a train and derails it, and it's actually a real train that they blew up and knocked off the rails. It's
nice. They spent the money.
Yeah, it's like that's not a miniature. That's an actual like train that they detonated. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the plane scene's like old school filmmaking of like we're gonna actually like get a plane and make it look crashed and like, you know, scatter debris everywhere. Yeah. It's a nice touch.
The other thing at the very end, you're like, spoiler alert, oh, his son that you thought was dead, somehow all by himself got back home way before them and was just chilling and be like, you guys just got here?
Mm-hmm. It's very pat.
Yeah, it's there are no stakes in this film.
Yeah. No.
Every one of the big people, like they get out fine. Like the main characters. I was really upset that the mechanic died. He was one of my favorite guys. The guy that changed out the solenoid.
The solenoid, yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like
Lenny Venito.
Yeah, bless
played Manny.
Mm-hmm. That's his big break. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it ends with a whimper. It really does. It's not with a bang, but with a whimper. But I would say 7 out of 10. I mean, my first viewing, I probably would have said 5 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Pretty disappointing for Spielberg, but it's like it improved this time. I got more subtext out of it, more stuff going on this time than last time. So it improved. That's why I was curious to go back and see how it would do.
Yeah, I wanted to wrap the sun, or just about the ears, just box of the ears, or like quit being a punk.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's like, and do a better job with your curveball. God damn it.
Yes, it's the end of our tagline. Do better on your curveball.
Well, it's like, you know, also Dakota Fanning's character. She's a good actress and she does well in this part. They try too hard to make her character seem like precocious and like overly intelligent for her age.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how you're going to get through to him. It's like,
whose mother are you?
Yeah. It's like, what 10-year-old talks that way?
Yeah.
It's not natural. But yeah, overall, it's a decent popcorn movie. It's a decent blockbuster, you know, summertime movie. It works.
But this movie, I wouldn't mind like leaving the theater to go get refills on my popcorn.
Yeah, no.
This isn't one where I need to be seated the whole time.
No, exactly.
I can definitely take a bathroom break.
It's not Avengers Endgame.
No.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would definitely say if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. I mean, it's definitely the biggest screen possible, you know, big speakers, you know, enjoy the experience of it. Mm-hmm. So, and if you're a Spielberg fan, it's definitely worth going back and checking out again. But next up, we have a very different movie, The Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
It's a humdinger.
Yeah, it's a lot of good Halloween tropes, a lot of good horror tropes there.
Some of which it invented.
Yeah.
I say this in review. I don't know if this movie really like started the revolution of comedy and horror intermingling, but it's definitely one of the best examples of it.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's about the same era as Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
And in the review,
83, 84.
Yeah. And it's like in the review, I'm like, you know, if you want a good Halloween double feature, do Fright Night, Return of the Living Dead. It's a good combo.
Yeah.
That's tasty. Mm-hmm. But
you got something sweeter than you.
Exactly. This has been another episode of Cinema Vino, and got Travis Budd, Bravis Tudd,
Hey.
Travis Redacted, all the above.
Peace.
And yeah, we will have more of the gang back together. We're going to get a couple more of the Beatles back in here.
Yeah.
For next time, and have a full crew. But there's our cat. Listen.
It's a loud.
Yeah.
Never mind. I couldn't say it.
I think we have a hairball on the way. So
we're gonna go catch that. So we'll see you guys later.
Enjoy that image. Not with a bang, but with a loud cat whimper. So we will see you guys next time.
Meow. Be sure to listen, rate, and subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website is at cinemavino.net, and reviews of these films can be found at toddwoffordmovies.com.